Phantomaniacs! Welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today we are taking a look at Alvin Breaker Kibby from the G.I. Joe Classified series, number 158. Got that bubble gum. That is a critical part. He's almost looking a little CM Punk right there. Very important part of Breaker to me. One of the several upgrades from the original Breaker from Classified. We'll do a little comparison here with. Back of the box, you can see him holding the meteor ore that is one of the critical elements for the mass device. Let's open it up and take a look at this new version of Breaker, which is something that people were calling for because that original one that came with the RAM doesn't have, you know, the backpack. Didn't come with any kind of, that just came right out. Didn't come with any kind of blaster or anything. I think people wanted a little bit more. And I like that Breaker. It's cool. But it is very different to the point where I'm just going to put it on the RAM and it's not Breaker. So I like that they did make significant enough changes to this one, up to and including the portrait is completely different, which surprised me. All right, let's get all the gear out of here. Oh, this is right off the bat, I'm happy because this is a different cable here. They're not just reusing the Mindbender, Techno Viper, all these other characters that have come with a big, overly thick cable. We've actually got a thinner version of that now, which I'm very happy about, because that thing is huge. It's honestly a little too big for some of the characters that they've used it for. As far as the mass device, I think it's a neat enough theme for some releases. I've said this many times on Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, which you can find here live on the Needless Things YouTube channel. I've said plenty of times, I'm not really that interested in Sunbow-specific stuff in Classified. I would prefer it if they would leave that to Super 7. But this Breaker, you know, certainly is not Sunbow specific enough to where I feel like, oh, he can't, you know, he doesn't necessarily go in the line. But I don't need a Classified size mass device. I'm not interested in that, or a BET for that matter. Another one that gets brought up, especially with, you know, things coming related to G.I. Joe, the movie, or 1987 releases. Oh, those are two different pouches. Interesting. Very nice. That's initially looking at these, I thought they were just the same thing, and then I realized this one's a little bit smaller. They're two different sizes. He has got the little flip down piece on his chest that is removable. I like that quite a bit. The fact that that snaps off. I think that's a nice touch. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. Well, we're going to do a big zoom in because I want to look at this portrait that I still say is a little CM Punky. Or maybe even with that weird beard, Johnny Gargano. He kind of shaves his beard like that, or it grows like that, whatever the case may be. But I think the face itself is a little punk. But, as I said, very different from the more Andrew Lincoln-y original portrait. So I like that they did that, because now, again, like I said, this is two different characters, and I can leave this one out and just put him on the RAM rather than have him standing with what we currently have from the original 13. And as far as being a Breaker portrait, I do like this one more for Breaker. All right. we'll do a little side-by-side of just the overall look of these figures and the differences once we get a closer look at this guy. So there's that flip-down removable tablet type thing. Pretty cool. A Kibby E4. Not sure how I feel. I mean, this is right next to his jaw. It's going to look weird once I put that knife in there, but we'll see. I don't love this. I do like that the Joe Pro is on there. And I like the detail, the black up here going across, and then that sort of sweater look of the original Joes. He's got a belt that I know we've seen before, but I can't remember on who. That's got the holster in the back. Looks like there's nowhere to store the suppressor for that blaster, which is really weird. But I don't need him to have a suppressor, so that's just going in a drawer. Oh, wait. Oh, huh. So this is I cannot remember whose belt this is. I know we've seen it before, and I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. So that can't slide in there, can it? Maybe. It's going to stick way out the top. Ah. Yeah, that just looks silly. All right, forget that. I guess you could potentially, if you wanted to, snip that out, but I just don't have enough need to store that thing. I'm not going to worry about it. Plastic feels good. Joints are moving nicely. He's got that watch with yet another time. 1824. I'm trying to remember if we've seen that time on a watch before. So let me ask you this as a collector. Are you so, I don't want to use the word I want to use. Is it going to bother you to have Joes on the same shelf with different times on their watches? Because I feel like we might have seen an 1824 before, but I don't think they're all 1824. The hinge is a little loose. All right, so all the joints look good. Boots are nice. I wish they'd used these boots on the Alley Viper, because that armor panel is actually facing forward and isn't weirdly skewed. So there's that. And then here is, and I'm probably going to give him that spare laser rifle. So there's the side-by-side. We've got the nice shorter sleeves on the new one. I like the gray, very, very, very slight hint of green, but mostly gray fatigues on this one. Got the different knee pads. I don't really have a preference here. I do like the lace-up boots on this one. Gloves. Oh, he doesn't have. Look, they didn't even put times on the watches on the older releases. And he's got a little different tactical gear up here. So yeah, like I said, this is now just the Ram Cycle Pilot. And this is going to be our breaker. So let's take a look. We already saw we've got the knife here. It's a perfectly good knife. Slide it up there. I don't love this positioning. I wish this just wasn't here. It's not great. Because the hilt is, look, if you want to be stupid, you could do that if you really want to. I don't like how the hilt is in front of our little doodad here. This was, in my opinion, this was not a good design choice. And once you get his helmet on, like, this is just so next to his face. I wish it wasn't on there. All right, alternate head. I'll go ahead and tell you this is the one we're using because, I mean, that's just, it's character. It's a great character. That's not like anything else you've got on your classified shelf. Pops right on. Great. Look, he turns his head. He's going to get bubble gum all over his knife sheath there. Gosh, and it's also just kind of falling out. It doesn't go in very snug. All right. Got a backpack that I really like the look of. I like the frame sculpted on the inside here. And look at this. Looks like it's contoured to the figure, which is something that Classified does not always do. Just enough panels and stuff to make it look interesting, but it also has this old school look. I really like this piece. Very well done. Let's pop it into the back hole there, and you can see, like I said, it's contoured to the figure's back, so it's got a little better look than a lot of the Classified backpacks. Helmet, he's got the mic. It's going to plug into the back. No visor. I wish, this is another thing I don't care for. It just doesn't look good to me. I wish they wouldn't put these on the helmets. I'm just not a fan. Especially if, like, I don't want them there at all. But especially if there's not going to be anything to plug into them. Like, what is the point of this? Oh, there's one problem with the bubble gum, I guess. You got to get the microphone around it. Okay, well, it sits just under his chin, so that works fairly well. I think I still don't have it on quite straight enough. There we go, that's better. There, and now that's, you can see the microphone sitting just in front of his chin, so that's correct. Looks great, and the pink of that bubble gum, they did a really nice job with that. Obviously, it would be great if it was translucent, which I think the 25th anniversary version was, or was it one of the, I think it was one of the comic packs that came with that, but whatever, it looks good. Now let's get our cable plugged in. One side goes in there. Nice. Good fit. And then in the back of the helmet. Also really good snug fit. I'm happy with that. Look, there. Great. Messed his helmet up. There we go. Honestly, the cable might be a little bit longer than it really needs to be because now we have this weird, I mean, that looks a little strange. Let's see if I can sort of hang this or maybe run it up underneath. Oh, you know what I could do is run it through this little piece right here, maybe. Let's try that. Might keep it under control a bit. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do that. I'll fiddle around with that a little bit more, find that, because that doesn't look great either. But do something so that's just not going out all crazy. That's not really good either, though. I don't like that. What about just bringing it underneath? Nope, that's not going to work either. Maybe around that way. Okay, there we go. for now, I'm going to leave it like that. That's fine. All right, cool. So there's that. As I said, not going to use the suppressor. That's going in a drawer with the extra portrait. I've got a hand blaster that does have a port for blast effects in the front, so that's cool. And actually, normally I would put that in the hand. Well, no, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to put that in. I don't like that extended magazine on this one either, because it just kind of sticks out too far and looks a little goofy. But I will give him, and this is why I wish they were just making these laser rifles beige or even a gray, because now, like, when you swap them, they don't necessarily look right with different characters. But I think I'm gonna leave that with him. And then finally, let's take a look at the Meteor Ore. Nice crystal clear tube. I believe this might be the same one of these that came with Dr. Mindbender. If you notice, it's got those little ports on the sides. It does pop open. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the same tooling as the Mindbender things. And then just goes right in there. And oh, I disturbed it. There we go. You know, it's neat. I didn't need it, but it's cool to have. And I hope we never have anything for it to interact with, because like I said, I do not need a classified scale mass device. So there he is, Breaker. Mostly pretty good. Definitely more of a breaker than the Ram Breaker, in my opinion. A couple little things I would have done differently, but overall, like, I like the color. The portrait's great. Good job. Glad to have him. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. And until next time, yo, Joe.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.